In Chapter 4, we find out how Marley and Judy feel about the issue of integration. Marley also continues to compare herself to the lions at the zoo. I always walked home from school. Guess Daddy figured I'd be safe enough with all the other kids around. Last year, I'd tag along with Sally, but today she stayed late to watch the boys play football. As soon as I opened our front door, I could tell Judy was in a bad mood. School's not going to start until at least September 15th, she yelled at me from the kitchen. What am I going to do at home until then? I hung up my jacket and followed Judy's voice into the kitchen. Judy was sitting at the table watching Betty Jean pull a batch of cookies out of the oven. Betty Jean was tall and always wore a flowered apron over her clothes when she was at our house. To be honest, I'd been pretty upset about having a stranger hanging around, even if she was doing chores, so I wouldn't have to. But Betty Jean didn't say much, and she never tried to get me to talk to her. Eventually, I thought of her as water. She took on the flavor of whoever else was around. There's a U.S. Supreme Court hearing on Friday, September 12th, Judy explained, to decide if the Little Rock schools have to follow the plan Superintendent Blossom came up with for integration. And after that, I asked. Hopefully, said Judy, the schools will be open again and they'll decide to give this whole integration thing a rest for a year or two. It sounded like Judy was against integration. I knew Daddy supported it, and I'd always thought it was a good idea myself. Why have two sets of schools when one would do? But I didn't ask Judy about it, even though I knew she wanted me to. Judy does so much for me. I hate it when we disagree. My inner voice is telling me that Judy is against integration. And remember, integration is when people are for combining the races, just like Daddy is. Marley tells us that she thinks it's a good idea for everyone to be together. So I think Judy is against integration like Mother, and Marley is for integration like Daddy. I watched Betty Jean use a spatula to put the cookies onto a piece of wax paper on the counter to cool. Mother agrees with me, said Judy, like she'd read my thoughts and was trying to convince me to come around to her side. She said so this morning before she left. Judy picked up one of the cookies, then dropped it. It was too hot to eat. Betty Jean poured me a glass of milk and handed me a plate of cookies. We nodded at each other. The cookies, oatmeal chocolate chip, were delicious. But even the warm cookies didn't erase the pit in my stomach. I wasn't sure I could trust Judy's opinion about integration, but I also wasn't sure I could trust my own. And worst of all, Judy didn't even ask me about the 5 words. How might the fact that the family is divided on the issue of integration cause conflict within the family? Something to think about. I could have brought it up, and I would have, but it wasn't until Betty Jean had gone home and we were eating dinner that I got the opportunity. Mother told us all about her lesson plans and complimented Judy on the job she'd been done washing the windows before she got around to asking me about the first day of school. Fine, I looked at my plate. I said 2 sentences. What? Said Judy. Marley, why didn't you say something sooner? I shrugged. Oh, my goodness, said Mother, holding her hand to her heart like women do in the movies when they are about to faint. Atta girl, said Daddy. What'd you say? Asked Judy. Please sit down. And I did. Then I grinned, embarrassed. It's silly to get so excited about 5 stupid words. It's not silly, said Mother. What did Sally say? Asked Judy. I wasn't talking to Sally, I admitted. Everyone stopped eating and turned to look at me. I didn't like it. It was a new girl, I explained quickly. Her name is Liz, and she just moved here and she has nice teeth. That was a stupid thing to say. No one cares about teeth. I should have mentioned her nails instead. Well, said Mother, and it sounded like she was just about ready to burst with pride. I'm sure you made her feel quite welcome. Mother was pleased with me. I didn't know what to say. Daddy just grinned. Why don't you invite her over sometime? Mother suggested. Betty Jean could make lemonade and sandwiches and... Judy laughed. Maybe tomorrow she could just say hello. It was a really good dinner. That night in bed, instead of being happy, I felt kind of sad. Most of the time, I act like it doesn't bother me that I don't talk. Usually, I'm pretty convincing even to myself, but sometimes at night when I hear the lions roaring and they're really going at it, just growling and yowling and roaring like a jet engine, sometimes I wish I could be like them, that I could just yell out whatever I was thinking or feeling and not care one whit who heard. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I can almost convince myself that I'm going to do it, that I'll just start talking. By the time I wake up in the morning, the lions are always silent, and so am I.